We didn't do a reading, so I'm just going to do daily word today. July 4th is freedom. In thought, word, action, I celebrate my freedom. I celebrate my freedom. There are many ways to feel free. I may work hard to become financially free. I make plans on trips so I can freely explore the world. I may commit to learning for intellectual freedom or exercise my body for greater freedom of movement. Even as I do my work in the world to know freedom, I remember that I am always free at the level of spirit. No situation or circumstance has power over me. Breathe. Every day in every area of my life, I live from my divine nature, where I am wholly and completely free. Through my inner powers of understanding and faith, I recognize and embrace empowering beliefs. My spiritual gifts of strength and release keep me on course and help me free myself from the habits that derail my spiritual growth. Though God is within me, I know I am grateful to be free. Galatians 5:1, for freedom, Christ has set us free. Wow. You know, I'm not huge on holidays. Holidays has never been my forte. I don't know why. I studied them back in the 70s. I wanted to know where all these holidays came from. Christmas, Easter. And the more I studied them, the more I didn't know that I wanted to put all my eggs in those baskets until I heard a metaphysical interpretation of them. Then it made sense to me. I mean, Mother's Day, really? Every day was Mother's Day in my life. I'm not against having a day in which we recognize that collectively. I'm not saying that, but 4th of July is a different kind of time and holiday that I want to talk about, and I'm not sure how Spirit's going to put this together, because if I say anything that in any way offends anyone about your political beliefs or whatever, it's not my intent whatsoever to do that. But I can't help but have my own spiritual understandings of things, and I just share them with you for the purpose of contemplation in some way. To me, Independence Day is a chance to celebrate and granting everyone else as much freedom as I would like for myself. Important. Even though, as I just said, I don't celebrate most holidays, but part of my spiritual practice is being a vision keeper and holder of a higher feeling thought about these holidays. My experience is that even one person can contemplate a scene and have faith in a successful outcome. Remember, 1 equals 1. That means one of you equals the one we all are. So one person can be that stone. I love that analogy. I've used it for years, but it's so powerful to think what a little insignificant stone can do if it's dropped into this pool of potential. And how that the rings go out many hundreds of times bigger than that stone. You are the living stones. The Bible even calls us living stones. And just think, there's enough of us can make a big ripple today. Even though we don't have hundreds of bodies here, there's enough stones dropped into the pool of divine possibilities for peace and love and unity and oneness and healing of the great systems that has advocated separation. I am not you, you are not me. It has been said that just 1% of the population meditates upon something like peace and loving kindness, the effect spreads to other 99%, even if they don't believe. And this is why community to me is so important. It's not so much the quantity that I'm looking for, but I'm looking for the quality of people. Quality speaks of the depth of people rather than more bodies to fill more chairs. I've had that. I've had the bodies. Sometimes you can lay in bed with a body and they're not even there. Of course, the miracle says that. Just because somebody physically is with you, it doesn't mean that their mind is there, their intent is there, their energy is there, their spirit is there, their thoughts are there, their emotions are there. You have to gather up a lot of yourself to be really present in the moment. And that's why we do the music and the singing and all of that. It's not just for entertainment, but I'm trying to get us together into that oneness that we all represent, the one that is the one. So 1% of the population is not huge and impossible to get them engaged into causing a ripple through the mass collective consciousness of a city, of a state, of a nation, and of the world itself. We celebrate July 4th, 1776, as a day that represents the Declaration of Independence and the birth of the USA as an independent nation, no longer subject to Great Britain. And that's what that was all about. It was all about the fact of not being under the monarchy, not having one person rule. And it concerns me that we tend to be leaning more in that direction in the last several years. And that's just a fact, that we have put too much power on one person. I don't care which person it is, or which side of the aisle they are. It's just not healthy to put all of our power into someone that we think is going to come riding in on a white horse and untie us from the railroad track without us becoming involved and doing the work that we need to do, cause us to be co-creative for our destiny and responsible. This is the 245th anniversary. 245 years that we signed this declaration. I thought Michael was going to get on my message there a little bit, but that's good. He was a good segue into this idea that we must look at this idea of the words such as all. All doesn't always mean universally all. It can be all of a particular group. And we have to be careful because the ego mind uses the word all for its agenda. And when it uses the word all, it's really using it for its agenda of separation. If we continue to keep building systems of thought based upon I'm not you and you're not me, in which the ego has chosen the body to prove that. Because we are different. There's no one like us. Even identical twins are not perfectly, totally 100% always the same person. There's always some unique aspect of them. That's why we have to go beyond the physical body. We honor the physical body for the tool that it is. Of course, the miracle says that it's important for communication until real communication is. And until we enter that place that you know what I'm thinking and where I'm coming from, and we're speaking through telepathy or we're speaking spirit to spirit, we need our bodies as a tool in which to communicate with each other the best that we can. The body, the brain will never come to the level of truly what spirit is saying because it only will interpret what spirit is saying and perceive what spirit is saying, which is a little short of God's glory. This is why we need to sharpen the art of our intuition and our guidance and the ability of this idea of the eye of enlightenment to be so open that we see past illusion and appearance, and we see the heart, the motive, the intent behind what our five senses tells us. I didn't know this, so I hope this kind of connects with Susan. But it's interesting that I want to talk about something that's going on that I didn't know about around this time of the year, the 4th of July. I don't know if you're aware of all the countries that celebrate something. Even though America has its independence, there's also Algeria on July 5th, Argentina July 9th, Bahamas July 10th, Belarus on July 3rd, Canada July 1st, Venezuela on July 5th, and France on July 14th. There's something going on that's bigger than just what happened just to here in America. But something is going on a planetary and universal level that I wanted to share with you for contemplation only. If you will allow me to do that. Okay, what is happening that I learned is that Sirius and the sun are having an alignment at this very time. It started actually July the 1st. So as we're sitting here today, it's about Sirius. Sirius is the planet of higher consciousness. Now, I have felt a connection with Sirius A, they call it. If you don't know about what Sirius is, let me tell you, it's the sun of our sun. Our sun is only 10,000 degrees, but Sirius has 17,000 degrees of energy and heat. So sometimes we refer to the central sun. The central sun is Sirius A, it is called. It is the sun of our sun, the central sun. So at the influence of this time of Sirius at around the 4th of July will bring us greater freedom as well as technological advancements. That one I'm concerned. I'm not against technological advancement if it matches the level of the consciousness that's going to be using it. That's my concern. If consciousness is not at the level of all this, how it's so fast, technology is coming, we're going to be in trouble, very much like Atlanteans were. I do believe that I do believe the Atlanteans existed, and I think the reason that they destroyed themselves was because of this very thing that we are facing, is the level of our mass consciousness versus our technology. If there is a huge gap in there somewhere, then the ego can insert its agenda to destroy us as we are. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this word destroy, but I've studied these words, as you know, for years, and when it says in Psalms 90:3, for God turneth man to destruction, to say, return, ye sons of men. The word destruction doesn't mean a punishment. I'm going to destroy you. It means I'm going to let you, through free will, choose whatever path you want. And if you choose the path to destroy yourself as you are, I will bring you back again, and you will come out as the phoenix comes out of the ashes, and you'll have to go and do it again. And that's why the book says in the beginning in Genesis. If you study that out in the Hebrew, it's not a singular event of the beginning, but it is a Hebrew plural that means in the beginnings or in a beginning. So there can be many beginnings. What we're challenged with in this generation, are we, and I love this, I think I talked about it somewhere recently, where the psalmist David, that I relate to. I just relate to the psalmist David so easily. I always have the Psalms. And when I found out all those Psalms were sung, they weren't written. They were songs that were written down. And David would absolutely just burst forth into a song, so much that they had hired scribes to follow him around. And if a song came forth, they wrote it down, and now we have the Psalms in the written form. But the thing that I love about David is he was in the era and the dynasty of the Old Testament God Yahweh, but he said, I'm actually going to pay allegiance to the God Most High, El Elyon, which was to be the father of the Christ years and years later. So he was visionary, is what I'm saying. He saw a different age in the age that he lived in. I wonder if you and I have a vision of an age that is to come in the age in which we're living now. Can we see an age of oneness and getting along and the healing of racism and bigotry and all these things, if we can visualize and hold that vision, lock it in. For you that's in the heart math classes, lock it in and come from that place and see, as David did, what would happen 2,000 years ago, that the Christ would be manifested and we would move from race to grace. Because the Old Testament was about race. It was about one nation, Israel, and their God. The thing is others came along and took the God of Israel as the universal God. But it wasn't. It was the God of Israel. And those who were not of the Israel were seen as outsiders. In fact, if you study it, you'll see that they saw certain parts of beings as subhuman. It's just in there. I can show it to you. It did not mean everybody. That was an idea put into the Bible long after the Bible was written, that they would make the God of the Old Testament and they would connect Christianity to Judaism, and we'd have Judeo-Christianity. And the teacher, Jesus, the Christ, came along and says, I've got a better covenant for you. I love that. I've got something better for you. We're going to change the whole order of this thing. We're going to change the priesthood that was under Aaron. We're going to change it to Melchizedek, of an endless life, without mother, without father. And the only thing that fits that is the Christ. The Christ is the only thing that has not a mother or father, beginning or ending of days, is the Christ. Jesus did have beginning of days and did have a family and did have a bloodline. So it can't be Jesus' last name. It was an awakenment and a revelation that he was the Christ. And the minute that one of us knew we were the Christ, the portal was open for all of us to know that we're a part of the Christ family. The Christ. I can't say Jesus is in you or Jesus is in you, but I can say Christ in you, the hope of glory. I can say Christ in you, the hope of glory. I can say Christ in you, the hope of glory, because Christ is not confined in one body or one physical being. It is a universal force into the world that was opened up to us 2,000 years ago. That's what I'm celebrating today. My freedom to know who I am. My freedom that culture does not have to form me in their image, or some religion has to tell me who and what I am. I'm free from that. I could have stayed many years ago in a denomination. I could have stayed in a religion. I could have stayed with my tribe and family religion. I could have stayed with all of those places and confined myself into the image that the world would make me into. But I chose to find the image that God created me to be, in his own likeness and in his own image, as I found my own Godhead in some way. Wow. Sirius is also called the dog star, and the word actually means glowing in Greek. It's one of the strongest glowing stars that we have that you can see in the heavens is Sirius A. In fact, the ancient Egyptians, Sirius was a spatial star that was known to bring blessings of abundance, fertility, and rebirth. Boy, do we need that now. I would welcome. The Egyptians also believed that Sirius was where the souls of the dead would go after they left Earth. Many ancient cultures also believed that there were other forms of life on Sirius that would make contact with Earth to offer insight and intelligence for the advancement of the human race. Come on! We invite you in here at HeartLight. Show up through our intention. Show up through our music, our singing, anything that's a vibration and a frequency, the chimes, the bowls, the tuning forks, whatever it is that gives them a vibrational match to come in among us and help us in this time to grow up. We've been caught in our adolescency long enough. For 12,000 years, it's been dominion over the earth. It has been men over women. Reductionism, and all these things must come to an end as we feel the growing pains of growing up into a spiritual co-creative adult, taking co-responsibility for our destinies. That's what the teaching's about, is to get us to that place. Other ancient civilizations also believed that the meeting of the sun and Sirius, the highest start in the night sky, was a significant illumination in a time when light and truth would be shed on the world. I can't tell you I can prove what I'm reading to you, but if I choose to believe it, I know where my power is. My power is not out there so much in the heavens. It's in what I choose to believe about my own heavens. You know, everybody says we live in a universe, but really a universe lives in us. Every star has its counterpart. Every planet has its counterpart in me. I am the microcosm of the macrocosm. This light is said to bring a new evolution or way of being. This light is said to bring forth a rebirth of all of those living on the earth. Again, Sirius is brighter than our own sun, which we call the central sun. I talked about that just a while ago. When Sirius and the sun meet together around the 3rd to the 7th of July, that's now, the energy of Sirius is believed to become highly potent and influence planet Earth on a much more significant level. Everybody say, so be it. So be it. All right. Earth's sun being in Cancer at this time symbolizes a time of intuitive reflection and nourishment. The sun in Cancer represents a time where we can connect with our emotions and transform them into spiritual enlightenment. I like that. You know, I think one of the things that we do that we waste a lot of our energy is trying to get rid of stuff instead of transforming it. You don't have to get rid of fear, transform fear into, this is called the law of alchemy. You know, if you see your fear is lead and holding you down, then bring it to a higher vibration and change the pattern of what fear is into to a way of being open to things. And the way to do that is to do the thing you fear. And fear will not exist. Do the thing you fear the most. So I encourage you that have these limitations and fears of speaking to anybody or being up in front or doing anything like that. Don't spend your time trying to get rid of the fear. Transform the fear into something that can give you empowerment. I have to read this. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Now, all this stuff sounds good about individual power. You know, this is big right now. I want my rights. I want my rights to do whatever I want to. I'm sorry. Rights are not just given to you. Rights are earned. You just don't have a child and give it all the rights that it wants. to do anything that it wants. You're not going to give the car keys to your 10-year-old son or grandson and say, okay, if you want to go drive a car, I guess I'll just let you. They have to grow, mature. Maybe they have to take a test of some kind. Even a government test. To get a driver's license is a government thing. To wear seatbelts is a government thing. There are some things that government offers us to help us to not be destructive to ourselves. It's not all bad. But I'm not sure I want everybody running around with individual rights. There's too many guns for one reason. And you see what's going on in the fact of people who have these guns and they don't have the consciousness in which to use them properly, and they're out there using them for their agenda of proving they're right. That concerns me. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm concerned. Is that being against guns? No. But I'm against people who do use them improperly and take lives of people because they don't have a level of consciousness to take the responsibility to how to use something so powerful as guns and other things. It's not just guns, but it's so many other things. Where power is, there must be consciousness to match it. That it's important that we do that. So we hold these truths to be self-evident. That means everybody should come to know this truth for themselves and it not be imposed upon them. That I do believe. But you see, unfortunately, we've not had a system, a model for that for 2,000 years. Now, maybe we did the first 200 years. The 200 years before Christianity was organized and before all these great experiences of the masters and the great teachers of enlightenment, I'm sure before they were organized into these religious systems, that there was a different time. And we call that the mystical aspect of things. Christianity has a mystical aspect of itself, which is the Essenes, for instance, and the Gnostics. And then you have the Jewish, has a mystical of the Kabbalah, that was before Judaism became what Judaism is today. And then you have the Sufis, which was before the Muslims began to organize their religion into something. And those people that lived in those days knew a different truth than the truth after man organized it. I always like to tell my joke here. I don't know many jokes, but the devil and a friend are walking down the road, and up ahead of them is some guy. And then once in a while, the guy would reach down and pick up something. And they found out what he was picking up was pieces of truth. And the friend of the devil just kept talking about paying attention. And the guy just said, I've got to ask you, why are you not trying to do something about that guy picking up this truth? He said, I'll leave him alone, he'll organize it. And that's why I'm not a part of an organization. I want to be a part of something that is an organism. HeartLight must be a living, thriving, changing, pulsing organism for change and reinvention as truth and consciousness is more and more the new norm that is coming in from higher fifth dimension and beyond in third dimension, raising our vibratory frequency. So we hold truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Now I have a couple of things. Michael hit it on it properly. We've got to stop. And when we see words like equal, all men, although you go, mine here's is all, and we just assume that men means everyone. And at one time it did. And still in some fundamentalist Christian teachings, the power is to the man. There are still religions and churches that do not recognize a position for a woman or for the feminine at all. I've told you my aunt, who was my pastor in the 50s, was such an example for me because there was hardly any, if any, women pastors of the Assemblies of God religion I was raised in, because the Bible did not recognize women to teach. And that men always had the authority over them. But I don't know what she did, but she broke that ceiling. And I'm appreciative of that experience, that I could actually have that experience with her of seeing what you can do with the commitment to move beyond the boundaries that are set for us. I do believe that most likely that all men meant all men who are of a certain origin. This was written by Europeans for Europeans. And I've studied this very deeply. I won't go into all that I know, but everything that I studied came back to the roots of man-made religion. The roots of racism, sexism, sexual orientation, all the things that so divide us as a society and as a culture, all can be traced back to religious doctrine and belief. So it did not include you ladies. It did not include even maybe someone like me. But that's why I do still advocate the teacher who said this. This is simple. Whosoever will, let them come. They'd never heard that before. They never heard that. One time he was talking to some woman at a well and had a tremendous experience with this woman, and the religious Pharisees and Sadducees of the group that was following him went up to him and said, but we don't do that. We don't, one, talk to women, and secondly, we don't talk to Samaritan women, meaning a certain race, a certain sect, a certain group. And yet that encounter that Jesus had caused her to go to an entire city and spread his teachings and gospel and transform an entire city. He broke the boundaries of 613 different laws that are given to us. You could eat shrimp under Jesus. You could wear wool and linen and all kinds of things that has been used against ourselves in many ways. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Now, you got to realize creation is different than formation. The first chapter said, and God created mankind. We're going to put mankind. Created mankind in his own likeness and image. Now get this. And created he them, male and female, and called their name Adam. That's creation. That's the creation story. Let me go through it again. I have created in my likeness and image. And in Course in Miracles, we just say that I extended myself into an individualized form of that which I totally am. That's kind of what that means in that way. Then the second chapter is a different story. See, they took two stories that was being told and put them together, and because it's in the Bible and we're so linear, we think this equals that, and every word in there equals itself. It does not. It says you got to study to show yourself proved. You got to study that book. You got to decode that book. You got to get that book back into the context of the culture and the language in which it was being spoken. There's a responsibility. That's why a lot of you threw the book away when you got into New Thought, because you didn't want to do the work of decoding it. Thank God I didn't throw it away. But I've held on to it because I wanted to know the Spirit, the word of the Spirit concerning these things. So in the second it said, and the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the earth. Create and form. Now, if I had this belief, if I had this belief that my body was created, let me tell you what, I'd have a body that is equal to what God is. And God is whole, perfect, without beginning, without end. My body would be in the likeness and image of that which created me. But I have a body that is much inferior to that. I have a body that is subject to illness and sickness and death itself. That's why it was so important that the divine incarnate into a consciousness that brought both together, son, daughter of God, and son and daughter of man. Yeah. And that's what Jesus represents as a symbol. You don't have to know the man Jesus, because even the Bible says, don't know Jesus any longer after the flesh. That's why he got out of here at 33 years old, because he didn't want to stay any longer, because they would have still made his body more than it is today. But he was trying to be absent so that they would find the Christ in themselves. But there was no model, no church to teach this idea. So really it is true that all of us are created equal. So I look at my body. Every time I look in the mirror of my body, I see my dad, I see my mother, I see what grandparents I did know, and I see them all in me because they formed my body. My body is the result of two people, two bodies, came together and exchanged some data and information, some chromosomes, 23 and 23, chromosomes, which is like putting the two stones, my mother's stone, my dad's stone, and they rippled out and came together, and there I was in the interface. Can you imagine that? A stone has a ripples, moms, dads, and then they come through each other and create a third pattern called an interface pattern. And it's through that pattern that how do I say that which did not come from them was able to come through them. Oh, wow. See, there's a part trying to get in, incarnate. Are you with me? And that's why it took the two to create this unique portal for me to incarnate into that body. And in my life, I've had to deal with the issue of being true to more what came from them versus what came through them. And sometimes when I was true to what came through them, it upset those that I came from. What are you into, David? This is not what you've been taught in Sunday school. This is not what we have taught you about God and this, that, and another. But you see, something was trying to come through me. And I built a ministry on that for 55 years to let it come through me as well as from me. And I'm offering you those two stones right now so that you can find a new portal for yourself, so that you can be more integrated as the son of mankind and the son and daughters of God in the earth. So all men are created on a spiritual level. All mankind, womankind are all, and they're endowed with their Creator. See, I don't think a lot of religions teaches that we're really endowed with the Creator. We're endowed with the ability to worship the Creator, to build a religion around a Creator. A creator that is far from us and separate from us and out there, but they never taught us that what's out there we're looking for is inside looking for us. Huh? Everybody keeps looking for God, but God is looking for you. He's looking for his habitation. That they are endowed with their creator with inalienable rights. Inalienable rights. Inalienable means what you brought in with you that's innate. You don't learn that. You don't learn your ability for freedom. Freedom is your right. It is your birthright. It is the greatest gift that God, universe, has given to you, is the right to be all that you are. My time's up, but I may continue this because I want to talk to you a little bit about, is America mentioned in Bible prophecy? It really is. And what happened in 1776 was the beginning of the fulfillment of that prophecy. You know, I don't know if it's Charlie Brown or who, but he was complaining or about things, and Lucy said to him, I thought you loved America. And he says, I do love America. It's just Americans that I have problems with. And I kind of feel the same way sometimes. I think the concept of America is a wonderful concept, and it was called the American experiment. And it was an experiment of how we bring the diversity of the world together into this melting pot called America. The trouble is, we never melted together. But we have remained and have used some of these religious interpretations, again, that I'm not you and you are not me. So today we celebrate a freedom that cannot be taken from us, and that is the freedom of our spirit to soar into the dimensions and the heights of that which we call heaven here on earth. We can go into the high places. The Bible says there's a place in consciousness that the vulture eye has not seen. That means there's a place that death itself cannot go. For life cannot be interrupted. Life is without beginning and without end. Life is for what many of you call God. Life. So today I celebrate my spiritual freedom. First of all, the scripture says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. May you be free to be all that God has called you to be. This community that we are announcing today with Michael and Mary Brown, to me is so important because I think we need a space and time to really feel free enough to talk about some of the issues that we really don't have time to do that in just passing with one another out there on the porch somewhere. I really think we all have some questions and issues that I think we'd like to feel strong enough and to feel safe enough that we could take care of and talk about. And as we heal that in ourselves, the healing of my mind is the healing of my brother and sister, the Course says. So we can represent the collective mind of God. All right, amen. A woman, a tree, a bird, a whatever. Don't leave anybody out. All right, let's go, brother. While we're doing this, if you'll prepare your offerings today, we appreciate it. If you want to come to Susan's, you're welcome to come. $20, you can give that to Tim or me or whoever. If you want to come and be Janice, okay. Give it to Janice and do that. And please join us for this wonderful cookout we're going to have, and be back here and start at 1:30. All right, together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. For I know as I give, it shall be returned. I send forth this gift with my blessings and my love.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Father God, we thank you for this opportunity for us to give and invest back into HeartLight what we receive from HeartLight. Bless the giver, and bless the giver to know that they are the receiver of what they put out will come back even 100-fold. And so it is. Amen. So when that song says my home, I want you to know you are that my. This is your home. How have you been brought here? You've been brought here because of a plan. And man cannot forever stop the plan of a new spiritual Zion called America, the United Sons of Abraham, the USA. And I'm going to show you that this is a fulfillment of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, was all manifest by the power over the largest, most strong army in the world, with a few straggling people that left Great Britain. They won, not because they were the strongest or the best, they won because God
Let your heart light shine. Time to let your heart light shine.